Hello, good evening, goedenavond. Ik ga even kijken hoe dit allemaal werkt, want het is de allereerste keer dat ik een webinar met Zoom heb gedaan. En we hebben hem natuurlijk wel even getest, maar nog nooit officieel een webinar met Zoom gedaan. Dus tik even iets in de chat of je me hoort en ziet. En of het geluid goed is en het beeld goed is. En dan kijk ik heel eventjes. Goed zichtbaar, goed hoor. Oké, cool. Dan gaat ook gelijk al opnemen, zie ik. Dus dat is ook heel handig. Oké, cool. Oké, top. Nou, dan is het wachten op Fred. En ik kijk heel eventjes in de mail of hij iets heeft laten weten. En anders is het natuurlijk nog vroeg. Oké, hij zei dat hij al had geprobeerd in te loggen, maar dat ik er niet was. I am there now. Oké. Luid en duidelijk, goed hoorbaar, goed beeld. Oké, cool. Heel fijn om te horen. Oh, ik heb er zo'n zin in. Ik hoop jullie ook. Dit is zo'n gave kans om met Fred te connecten en om onze vragen aan hem te stellen. Of vooral jullie vragen natuurlijk. Ik heb hem de hele zomer al bestookt met vragen. And there he is. There is Fred. I was already interacting and asking if the sound was okay and the video was okay. Can you say something to check if the sound is okay?
Hello, Martia. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Fred. It's really nice to see you also. I was thinking this afternoon that we never really video chatted because we always used Skype call. So this
is the first time, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm really excited and thankful that you are here. And we have all these beautiful questions. And maybe we can start with a small introduction of who you are.
Okay, my name is Fred Dodson. I've been teaching what I call reality creation for the last 20-something years. I've written 23 books. Which have been translated into 7 languages, and my research still continues. I still try to expand the limits of what I know and what I'm able to do. That's a quick summary of me.
Okay, what I was wondering if I can ask a small question about you first, because have you grown up with the notion of reality creation and law of attraction, or is it something you've learned along the way?
It's something I've studied from the very beginning, because I've had a lot of experiences in my childhood that were odd, to say the least, and my parents couldn't tell me what it is. My teachers couldn't tell me what it is. So I would be 12 years old, and often instead of going out to play soccer, I'd go to the library and come home with huge stacks of books, on science, on religion, on this and on that. And I'd read all of them. I'd be so curious. I'd be curious about what is this all about? What's going on here? What's all of this about? Who are these people? What is this planet? Where are we? And the books did not give me the answers that satisfied me, so I figured I'd have to write them myself.
Okay, cool. And when did you start writing books?
I think I wrote my first lines at the age of 14.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you were really, because when I grew up, I was not into spirituality at all, but you just kind of were already halfway there when you were born.
I think I grew up with it. Yeah. I think I was already there from the beginning, from the seed, as I like to say.
Okay.
And I think you found to it through difficulty, through challenge, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I learned that most people discover law of attraction like that, but for you it was different. So that's really nice to hear. Okay, should we jump in the questions, Fred? Is there anything you want to share before we start with the questions?
Yes, I'd like to share that we should jump into the questions.
Okay. Okay, because we got a ton of them and I'm afraid we're not going to be able to answer them all, but we'll just see how far we get, okay? The first question is from Nienke. I've been practicing the law of attraction for a while and I am a dedicated practitioner and believer. How do you get in the state from wanting something to feeling something in the core? Of course, by visualization, but I mean, how do you remove or break free from the small and sneaky doubts?
Well, there's two different ways. Either you reduce the goal and make it closer to home, more realistic, and by that, less doubts come up. So you choose a goal that you already believe in somewhat, and then you don't have to handle any doubts. And the other path, if you're aiming very high, doubts are going to come up. You see, if you climb the mountain, then rocks are going to come up on the way. So if you're aiming very, very high, then you've got to do what I call handling your doubts. And that is to acknowledge them fully while still maintaining alignment with the intention or the goal you have. And I actually call that the reality creation technique. And I've written a book on that. And there's a video out on that on my YouTube channel. And I'm also doing a seminar on that soon in the Netherlands. So that is the reality creation technique, to maintain focus on or alignment with your goal, while at the same time accepting and acknowledging your doubts. Because if you resist your doubts or try to push them away, it's like you're not taking yourself seriously.
Yeah.
You're not giving yourself the love to integrate those doubts and to acknowledge them and to understand them. So it's not a matter of getting rid of doubts. It's a matter of smoothing them by accepting and acknowledging them. Okay, that's the doubt. I understand. But nonetheless, this is my goal.
Yeah. It's like people are more scared to handle the doubts and the fears. That they are scared of the fears itself or of the doubt itself. And
right.
What's a fear anyway? It's just a sensation.
Fear is nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Oh, that was a very pragmatic answer. Okay, cool. Yeah, because of course that's the reason why we also did this webinar, because I asked you to come to the Netherlands for a 3-day workshop, and I was so naive. I thought, oh, I'm such a big fan of Fred, and if I say how amazing he is and how much he shifted in my reality, then people would sign up automatically. But it turned out there is a little bit more needed. So that's why I thought, okay, I'm going to just do this formal introduction, and they can see for yourself how amazing you are. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. The second question is from Aukje. What do you recommend to people after the diagnosis of a life-threatening disease, like cancer, when fear is standing in the way of the life you desire?
Well, I hesitate to say this because it draws a lot of criticism, but I have worked with people with cancer, 4 of them, in fact. And all 4 of them are still alive, as far as I know. They were alive when I last talked to them and well. And it's the same as with all other topics. I also teach the law of attraction and reality creation with them, just much more of it. So it takes a special kind of dedicated focus on my part, and on the part of the person with cancer. It requires a release of resentment, because that's often at the root of cancer, as well as no longer wanting to live. So what you need from them is a clear commitment to life.
Yeah.
So what happens when people lose interest in life, they just create illnesses and slowly fade away and leave life, and they're using that as an excuse, okay? What I need from a cancer patient is a clear commitment and a reason to live, and a release of resentment. And then we do all the processes that I do, you know. So I've seen that cancer patients do have a chance if they combine medicine and the stuff we teach.
Yeah, okay. And that's really the core of it, right? That people gave up the will to live, or is there more?
No, that's the core. The core is I really, really want to live. What you see in a lot of these cancer patients that I've talked to, that have also healed, is that they started giving up. They had no goals, no interests, no hobbies. It's a kind of a apathy.
Yeah.
Apathy is at the core. I don't care is at the core.
Yeah. Well, I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, and there was a professional snowboarder. She also snowboarded at the Olympics, and she had cancer a lot of times. And she's
A lot of times.
yeah, a lot of times. She was diagnosed, she was healed, and then she was sick again, and that happened a couple of times. And that's really an exception, right? That people have a full life and also have a disease.
Well, if they have a full life and a will to live, then I'd look at resentment as the second cause. So, I'd ask her who she resents. Does she resent society? Does she resent planet Earth? Does she resent her parents? Long-standing resentment. In my view, in my experience, it begins emotionally over a long period of time. In my view, cancer is no coincidence. In my view, nothing is a coincidence.
Yeah.
That's the law of attraction. The alternative to the law of attraction is that everything is a coincidence.
Yeah. Life just happens.
Yeah, those are the two philosophies. Either you believe in the law of attraction or you believe everything is a coincidence.
Yeah. And that is also another question of Ernestine, and it resonates with this one, because she said, when I think of things as, oh, I twisted my knee, I can see that I attracted that, but then there are these bigger things. For example, if I think about losing my husband or my children in a plane crash or a terrorist attack, I just can't believe I attracted that in any way. Aren't there things in life that just simply happen to you? Because life is life, and then whatever happens after the event is the moment when you can influence again with your thoughts and emotions. That's how it feels for me. So she's not really black and white, but some things I can imagine law of attraction takes care of it, and other things are just bad luck or something.
Yeah, well, fair enough. What is her name?
Ernestine.
Okay, dear Ernestine. First of all, you're more likely to get killed by a soda machine than a terrorist attack. It's a statistical fact. You can look it up. And another fact is that 99% of people who are in plane crashes survive. You can look that up, okay? First of all. Secondly, most of the bad things we attract subconsciously, not intentionally. We don't intentionally attract disasters into our life. So it's attracted through our fears, and our fears serve the purpose to point us to the thoughts that are not good for us. And the mere thought, the mere question about plane crashes and terrorist attacks is already misaligned, regardless of whether you believe it or not. That thought is not useful to you. You could ask me, well, what if my family dies in a plane crash? Or you could ask, what if my family is safe and healthy for the rest of their lives? What if? And that's the right question, and that question directs your attention to better places, causing a different emotion than fear. So the question itself is already, sullied,
Yeah.
already in the seed, regardless of whether you believe the law of attraction works for everything or not. But to assume that it does is more effective, I'd say, even if it is true that some things are random and some things are coincidental. it's always good to assume that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Even if that were not 100% true, it puts you in a better feeling. And when you're in a better feeling, it puts you in a place of more strength and more power to deal with things. Okay, so whether you change your reaction to the plane crash or you change your thoughts so that it doesn't happen in the first place. I mean, I've avoided flights that were crashed later before merely based on intuition, merely based on a bad feeling that I won't travel today. How could I have such intuition? I could have it by being in a good place emotionally. If I'm in a worried place, I'm not going to have intuition.
Yeah.
So is it a coincidence that I've been safe all my life, that I've never experienced disasters, except in the times before I learned all this? Is it a coincidence? Do you really believe it's a coincidence, that which happens in the world? Do you believe there's no reason whatsoever? Or does it possibly have to do with people's worry and fear? Have you observed in people what happens in their lives when they live in worry and fear? Have you observed how troubles accumulate? That's my question back to you.
Yeah, because before I started really applying law of attraction and having these, and not just getting or having this deep faith, but training myself on it, all kinds of bad stuff happened to me. And now my life is really quiet, and I also always follow my intuition, and it always keeps me safe.
Funny, huh? Funny how that works.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a good tip to really observe people who are in a worried or anxious state, what they create in their life, and people who are in a balanced and positive place. I bet you see the differences. And I think it's also true that people really get in a place of, in a problematic place if they live in the past or the future, because this plane crash, it never even happened. It's and probably never going to will.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical question, you know, and it's not really, it doesn't really serve the questioner. It does not serve her. That question does not serve her. Moreover, she could also ask herself whether death is a reality or whether we exist in the afterlife. Do we really lose people we love? I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm going to check in with the participants for a moment. Is this valuable to you? Are you still getting good sound and video? Let me know in the chat, and I will read the next question to Fred. Well, I have a question from Aukie left. How to come in peace with the things which are not longer possible because of physical damage? What's your view on that?
Well, you might inquire whether they're really not possible, first of all, and really leave no stone unturned to make sure it's really impossible, because I've seen amazing things happen, including miracles. If you assume there's a source of the universe, of all universes, of all these planets, of all these humans, all-powerful source that can do anything just like that with a snap, couldn't they also do something impossible? So the law of attraction often assumes that on some level, everything is possible. Everything that can be imagined is possible on some level. So are you sure this physical damage cannot be reversed? Are you 100% certain? And if there's a small possibility that it could be reversed, why not pursue that and focus on that, or research on the internet and see if there are people who have reversed exactly that damage, okay? And even if it cannot be reversed in your belief system, you could always make the best of it. You could ask, for example, a very useful question I always use is, how could this serve me? How could this damage serve me? So the fact that I'm in a wheelchair now, how could it serve me? How could it help me grow mentally? Or do I now have more time to study? Or am I now more compassionate toward other people in wheelchairs. Okay? So
Yes.
I doubt that it's impossible, number one, and number two, if it is impossible in your belief system, then ask how it could serve you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Okay, and the next question is from Ina. What can I do to transform my deepest and painful blockages so that I can get out of the negative spiral of shortage and can start living in abundance? I can feel the abundance and it makes me grateful and happy.
Can you repeat the first part of the question?
Yeah, well, she's talking about some deep and painful blockages, and she
Okay, I got it.
blocks, and she wants to let them go and really start living in abundance.
Well, the best way to release deep pain and deep trauma is by no longer suppressing it, allowing it to come up. And when you do that, when you stop ignoring, suppressing, or trying to get rid of it, when you start allowing it to come up, it comes up in waves, okay? So there's going to be a wave of pain, emotional pain and tears, and there's going to be another wave and another wave. And what happens as you allow that to expand and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger is that eventually the bubble pops. It's like you stop erecting a dam and you let the flow of emotions come through and everything that's connected to it, and you just let it run through, run through, run through. Imagine you have this snowball, okay, this snowball representing your pain. It's all contracted because you've been suppressing and resisting it. It's all contracted. And when you expand that snowball and allow it to grow and expand, what happens to the snowball? Well, it kind of dissolves.
Yeah.
And that's what I call the process of emotional releasing. And this may not sound pleasant to you, but it very much better than short-term intense pain is much better than long-term subtle subconscious pain that just keeps lingering. And once that is done, once you've fully allowed it to develop and unveilop and fully viewed it and confronted it, it's time to shift to what you want instead. You have to define or even write down or visualize or express or speak or picture what you want instead of that deep pain. It's got to be replaced with something. You've got to give your subconscious something else to learn, something else to view. And what I often do with that is I have people focus on the pain, then what they want instead, then back on the pain, then what they want instead, then back on the pain, then what they want instead, switching that thing on and off until their subconscious learns the difference between a pro-survival thought and a negative thought. And that's my answer.
Yeah, and we did that process too when you were coaching me. And it can also, I used it from there on my own. It can be really quick if you really let the feelings come up. Sometimes they just evaporate.
Yes, they evaporate if you really allow them.
Yeah.
If you want them, it's as if you want them because you understand that this is energy, this is useful. You don't have to keep it bottled up. You can let the energy come up and it just evaporates.
Yeah.
And that's something most people don't know. They try to avoid and get rid and hide. They live their whole lives as victims of emotions.
Yeah. Okay, and what I also hear a lot of people say is that they have hidden blocks. I want to take these steps, but there are hidden blocks I cannot see, or there are unconscious blocks I cannot see. I really don't believe in unconscious blocks in the sense that if there are blocks active in your energy field, that your reality mirrors them to you, so you can always observe them. What is your view on that? Because I often see people use it as a way not to pursue their dreams.
As an excuse, yeah. If there are blocks, they will arise once you follow the path of your dreams. Once you define a goal and start following it, if there's a block to it, it'll come up automatically. And I recommend you only handle the negativity or the blocks or the negative beliefs that are actually, that force themselves into your subconscious. I do not recommend people go looking for secret, hidden subconscious blocks. There are subconscious things, many, but you do not need to handle them if they're dormant, if they don't arise.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
They waste a lot of time with therapy and with looking for problems.
Yeah.
While while I'm pursuing my goal, they're still looking for some kind of block to solve.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's another way to keep you busy.
Yes. It's entertainment or something.
Okay, you are breaking up sometimes a little bit, so I don't know if it's about the connection. It's okay, but it could be better. Okay, well,
I'm not, my voice is not breaking up. It must be the connection.
Yeah. Okay, Sharina, she sent in a lot of questions. I'm going to look at the energy, what resonates. The first one is, how can I shift from thinking small to thinking big? I'm used to thinking small, but would love to change that and play the bigger game. I can feel that it is what I need to do, but I cannot make the shift.
I have a beautiful think big exercise in my seminar. It's a little game I play with people where they, well, I won't tell what it is, but it's beautiful. It can be exercised, trained, and practiced. But for now, why don't you collect a bunch of think big pictures, of pictures of amazing luxury, a great life, everything you want, and make them your screen background on your computer so that these pictures are constantly, like in a slideshow, being shown to you every time you're at your computer, all the time. This is what I've been doing for years and years and years and years as a process of brainwashing to get myself used to and accustomed to thinking big, because thoughts are images, okay? And the images I show myself all the time will have an effect on the quality of my thoughts. So it's a matter of getting used to big, good, great images of beauty, images of truth, images of prosperity, images of peace. Yeah, I know Sharina a little bit, and I also see all this potential in her, and she can also seize it in herself. And I think she's holding herself back to really step into that successful person, to that big person, because my experience is it's a choice to see yourself as that person, as that successful person living that big life, and then life just kind of adapts to your energy, and sometimes she makes it and then she pulls back again. Well, the central thing that I teach is that it's about who you are. Moreover, it's about who you are today. Either you're a success today, I like to say, or you're not a success at all. That's a very important thing that I teach. If you're not a success today, you're not going to be a success tomorrow. So it's not about achieving something tomorrow or in 1 year or in 10 years. It's about the success that you demonstrate and represent right now and today. So you want to take care of what you're radiating now. If you can be that, you can't have any success that you don't already have. That's the secret. That's the big, big secret. If you're not a success now, you're not going to attract success. Success attracts success. So if you cannot see or feel or experience or do success right now, you got to imagine it as a substitute. Okay? If you're in really horrible circumstances, the only thing you have is your imagination. Yeah. And success attracts success. Yeah. That's one of your books also, right? Yes, it's a book title too. It's so important. Yeah. I struggled with it too when I was a starting law of attraction coach. I thought, oh, who am I to teach this kind of stuff? And what have I even accomplished? But then I started to notice it was holding me back. So I've written down all the ways in which I already had achieved success.
And it turned out it was a lot. And from that you can work to take the next steps.
That's right, Matja. That's right.
Okay. And
Great job. Great job, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. She also has a question, and I'm going to shorten it, but to hold on to the trust that universe of God or whatever you want to call it takes care of her, that she's supported. And I see that with a lot of people because...
the beginning of the question again, please. The connection was off.
Okay. That she has trouble keeping the faith that universe or God always supports her and takes care of her.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
And I see this with a lot of people they want to believe, they want to trust, but then they keep doing all these things that show signs of lack, that they are not in fully, that they do not fully trust that the universe takes care of them.
Yeah. One helpful thing in those regards is an awareness of what is changeable and unreliable and what is reliable. What is reliable can only be something that is absolute and infinite and eternal. I can't really rely on a certain job, okay?
Yeah.
Because my boss could fire me anytime. That's not where my heart is supposed to be. I can't rely on a partner, even if I love them and they love me. They could change their mind any day and be off, okay? So people place their reliance on material things, and that's one of the big problems of the world. How could you disappoint me and I relied on you? Why rely on something that changes? I can't rely on my money. It could be devalued tomorrow. So I got to find something that's reliable, that I can trust, and that doesn't change. And if I examine what doesn't change, well, existence itself doesn't change. I can rely on the fact that I've always existed, as far as I can remember, as far as I can tell. Awareness is always there. So consciousness itself and awareness is absolute, eternal, and infinite in my view, and also in my experience, to be honest. And then there's that which we call universe, and the source of the universe, which appear to be eternal and infinite to me. And that's why it is recommended in all these spiritual teachings, metaphysical teachings, religious teachings, to place your heart, reliance, and trust into that which is infinite. Because, things change all the time. They change all the time. I'm not going to rely on them.
Yeah. And I always say, and I know you say this too, that money comes from source, not from your clients or a job. It comes from your awareness about the money and your level of receiving. Can you tell a little bit more about that?
At the first level, it comes from that same source that created everything else. At the second level, it comes from your inner energy and skill. You see, your inner energy, your imagination, your will, and your skill, those are permanent things that nobody can take away from you. I could lose 10 jobs, but I'd still keep my skill and my energy and my imagination. That again goes back to relying on stuff that's permanent. Your imagination, your skill, your ideas, they're always there, always have been there, always will be. But that job will not always be there. That boss will not always be there. So absolutely, it's about looking inside, within, or above. One of those.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What is the next question? I was so I was listening to you. And
you were actually listening. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is also a great question from Kirsten. I had a relationship for 24 years with a very wealthy but also very cold, no empathy man. After the breakup, my choice, I still can't let him go for the money reason. I'm an artist and I start earning money with my paintings, but I have the crazy idea that I can't do this without my ex, so I still have contact with him. He's a very negative person and I'm absolutely positive and open-minded. Why do I keep on contacting him? Is it a money question, I think? Not enough self-love, uncertainty? Is it my belief system? It makes me crazy. Thanks.
Yeah, well, you've already answered the question. I mean, if you have enough self-respect and dignity and self-love, you would not put up with negativity for the sake of money. And many people have this belief that in order to have money, I have to do a job I don't like, I have to meet a person I don't like. That's the big problem. That's why you are not rich, because you believe you have to do the negative, that which is not good for you, in order to get love. That's number one. So with enough self-respect and dignity, you're going to cut the contact and stop the dependency. And by doing that, you're going to learn ways to either make money for yourself or attract somebody even better. How can you attract somebody better, a better man, if you're still attached in some way and meeting this old man?
Okay. And the next question is from Anna. She says, some use affirmation with I choose to, or I am the person who. Is that last sentence more powerful, and why? So it's about affirmations. How do you use affirmations in the strongest way?
Well, it is true that I am is the best type of statement. Because as I said earlier, it all begins with who you think you are. You do not attract into your life what you want, but who you think you are. Your identity is at the core of your thoughts. Your identity is at the core of your beliefs. Your identity is at the core of your actions. Your identity filters everything else. And that's why I am statements are the most powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, she also said, I choose to, right? That's fine too, but I am is really the most beautiful, the best, the strongest.
Yeah.
Because it's also something, you can influence. You can say, well, you can influence your I am state the most. That's the closest to you.
And can you choose to be anything you want? For example, I've started working out. I know we talked about it. And I thought, okay, but if I am this person, it's really easy for me to move my body and to get exercise. And it's not, sometimes there were periods in my life I liked working out, but most of the time I didn't really feel like it. But I thought, okay, if that's the person who I am, then it's really easy for me because it's just who I am. Can I just choose to be that person, or is there more to it?
Yeah, you can choose to be athletic and slim, but that may include being inspired to work out and enjoying workout or not, The best combination in this case is actually visualizing or identifying as athletic and slim and aligning with that while doing the physical movement. And to be honest, I work out about once a week, but I don't work out nearly as hard as other people because of my identification. I only use it to do the acting as if method. And the acting as if method means going through the motions so that my subconscious believes there's actually a change happening. So while the others are sweating up an ocean and go, oh, I'm just, I'm standing there like, and that's the big advantage of knowing how to identify with something mentally. It takes less effort then. I would say that the higher your vibration, the less effort it takes. But if you're in a place that's low, or if you're really chubby and overweight, then you begin with a little bit more effort, and then you reduce the effort over time. Yeah. So in your case, I begin with real effort, regular, every twice or 3 times a week, and then over time I'd reduce the effort and get the same results until the ideal state at the end no effort at all, no gym at all, and maintaining the results. That's the goal. The goal is really to have it manifest easily. But it's easier to convince your subconscious of that if there's some physical action involved. People always say, well, do I have to work for it? Do I have to do something physical for it? You don't have to, but it's more convincing to your subconscious, okay? Because you're a physical being. That's what your subconscious believes. Also, you're also a physical being, not only a spiritual, and it's just more convincing if I'm going to the gym. And then I return from the gym and my subconscious believes that I actually did something. Whereas I wasn't putting that much effort into it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also kind of what I did with my business. In the beginning, there was much more effort, and now there's so much flow and ease. And sometimes I am really in awe of how easy it is to create things. So, and you can apply that to any aspect of your life.
Anything can become flowy and effortless.
Yeah.
But it also takes some effort to get to effortless. That's the paradox.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, it's beautiful. Once you've reached momentum, and how do you reach momentum? That's also important. Don't rest on your laurels. So once you've achieved success, don't rest on that, but continue until it becomes completely automatic.
Yeah.
You will one day reach a point where you can't help. In the case of money, for example, where you can't help but make money. You can't avoid it. No matter what happens, no matter what disaster happens, you're still raking in the dough, for example. So
because it's who you are.
Who you are. It's just how life is. You know, total abundance, that's just the way things are, and I can't change anything about it.
Oh, that's so hard. I'm really sorry for you.
Why does abundance always happen to me?
I don't know. I can teach you maybe something about the law of poverty or something. The law of lack.
No, I don't believe in that. I have a really hard time believing in that. Really hard time. I try, but...
Okay, and when we talk about getting results in ways that are out of this world, someone also asked the question, how can I make miracles happen? Often I read that people see lots of miracles in their lives. How can I do that?
Well, one path, there's many paths, but one path is by researching miracles and reading up more about them and learning more about them so that you start believing that miracles do happen. The more you know about miracles and the more you read about it, the more you believe it. So you fill your mind and your consciousness with ideas on miracles. That's one path. Another path is to realize that they're non-local, they're not really created by the ego, they're more of a consciousness thing. And rather than wanting to control them with the ego, you stay open towards them happening. And also, very important is you realize the miracles that are already happening. Keep your eyes open. They happen every day. It's just that we don't notice them. There's a lot of stuff happening every day, even already in your life, that you seem to miss, that you seem not to notice.
Yeah. Well, what I also taste a little bit in this question, energy-wise, is that it's hard to do the daily work to get the big result. So if it just happens to me overnight, I can skip the whole thing. Do you understand what I mean there?
Yeah, they want results without changing their vibration.
Yeah, exactly. Or thinking that it takes a lot of work.
In addition, there's a negative belief that it takes a lot of effort and work, yes?
Yeah.
In addition, yeah, those are implied. Often you see already in the questions that are asked, you see the problem. And that's well spotted, yes.
Okay. The next question is from Marike. What is responsibility? Is it something you have told yourself, have learned, or is it really something that exists? For your kids, you are responsible, taking care, etc. And when you are an adult, you have responsibilities and we teach our kids to be responsible. But is it often limiting instead of expanding your life or your kids' life? How can you deal with this? Let me see, because is this a separate question or part of the same question? Okay, no, that's a separate, I think. Okay, what's up with responsibility, Fred?
Yeah, well, a little trick I often use to give a quick answer, because it's a very long topic actually, is you're not responsible for others, you're responsible toward others. Not for, but toward. Maybe you want to translate that into Dutch. Responsible for means you think you're responsible for the reality other people create. Responsible toward is you're responsible for your own energy in their presence, for the example you set toward them. You're responsible for clearing yourself, aligning yourself, raising your own consciousness, and through that you set an example and positively influence those around you. You are not responsible for other people's actions or for their thoughts. Yes. So that's the error that I see in your question, and that's going to be a big relief. You're also responsible for your thoughts about these people, so you can hold them in a negative light, or you can trust that they're going to make it. Instead of, for what we often do is we see our child developing negatively, and then we take responsibility for them and try to manipulate that somehow. But it already starts in seeing your child negatively instead of the way you would like your child to be. You can be a better influence on your child by taking responsibility for yourself, not for others. You are responsible toward others. What energy you put out, what kindness, what love, what enthusiasm, what courage you demonstrate and put out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get that. And I also give my children a lot of freedom of my child. I've only have one child to make their own decisions. But if it's up to her, she wouldn't change her clothes for the whole month, or didn't brush her hair for the whole month. What's the responsibility in that? In how far does it go?
First of all, you could stop thinking that she does that, because that seems to be a habitual thought of yours, number one. Number two, the other thing is to reward, as with adults and children and yourself, is to reward good behavior and give no attention to bad behavior at all whatsoever, not to reward bad behavior. It's the classical raising method all parents have used for thousands of years, and it works beautifully. So say she doesn't do this or doesn't do that, good behavior should have good consequences. Bad behavior should have bad consequences. In this way, you're teaching her the law of attraction. You're teaching her that good vibes, to which getting dressed or eating belongs, has good consequences. Bad vibes, you give no attention whatsoever. So try that for a while.
Yeah, and you are so right. I'm totally projecting this on her. And how could she make any other choice? Okay.
When I have students, I have to project so strongly that they're going to make it. I trust them. They're smart. They're intelligent. They're going to do great. And in doing so, I help them, actually.
Yeah. Okay, cool. The next question is from Wendy. My sister-in-law has the mental illness borderline. Now I have listened to your YouTube video about healing poor baby mentality. The compassion part I understand, but showing my compassion when my sister-in-law is in a victim consciousness, it only works for a short time. I wonder, is it because the world has a poor baby mentality that there are some people having borderline because they grew up amongst people giving them attention and pity? Or is it congenital? I don't know what it means, but maybe something you inherit or something. Is it already in the person? My daughter sometimes has a poor baby mentality, and I hope that when she grows up, she understands that this is victim consciousness is not helping her any further.
Well, it's what we just said, you know, that the reason they continue their victim mentality is because it gets them attention. So I wouldn't give attention to that. I'd actually reward them with attention. Giving attention as a reward, I'd reward them if they're not in their victim mode. I'd give them an ear, I'd give them love, I'd give them attention. And I wouldn't give so much attention or response to victim statements or victim behavior. I might, you know, get up and say, all right, I'm going to go out. It's a lovely day outside. So see you later. You know, so that's not rewarding their victim mode. And the real problem is that people actually reward this. And the more they reward it, the more victim they become, because they think that's what works. I mean, I've worked with so many people who are deeply, deeply into the victim game. And they make it more intense. And this is bad. And this happened. And this might happen. And this happened to me in my life. And poor me. And people listen to them and say, oh, poor you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. And they're rewarding that. So compassion, yes. Love, yes. But not that much response or attention to obvious falsehoods come from their victim state.
Yeah, I personally noticed that I don't even have that many people in my life that are coming from what is the word already? Victim consciousness, because that's not really something I choose to deal with now, because I'm looking to follow my dreams and it's then guiding me from that path. So and sometimes I think of myself, oh, I'm being a little harder, being a little bit of a bitch, but that's it's exactly what you say. It's choosing not to feed that energy. Yes.
Even if that appears tough or hard, it can always be done with compassion. You can even explain it to them, you know.
Yeah.
Explain what you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think we still have a lot of questions, but I thought we were going for about an hour, and I do want to take a little bit time to talk about the workshop in March, because I wanted to ask you if you could tell a little bit more about the workshop. And I have another question that I want to ask you after you share a little bit about the workshop.
Yeah, well, precisely all these questions that came up are addressed over and over again in different forms, as guided meditations, as games that I play with people, often in exercises where two are sitting across from each other, as lectures, as conversations between you and me, and as a few surprises. And that's how my workshop is run. It is a lot of fun, and so far, everybody's come out of it in a better state. But that's because I attract people who are positive in the first place. So I don't really attract people who complain about my seminars. You'll learn how to stay aligned more effortlessly with what you really want, and how to integrate your doubts and fears rather than suppress them, so that you're comfortable with those fears. And what do you think happens when you're comfortable with fears? Well, they disappear and you become fearless. So that's what the training is all about. That's what the seminar is all about. It's 3 days, and it's very, 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 very well worth it. I've never done it for this price, by the way. I'm only using this lower price because it's in conjunction with you. In the past, it's cost thousands more. The last one was $3,099. The one before that was $4,999. So this is the cheapest I've ever done it. Yeah. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I only do this course once a year. So this is the only place and time I'm going to do it this year. Whether I do it next year, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And how do you advise people to take a decision if this workshop is for them, yes or no? Because I always feel if I want to attend a
workshop or even with your coaching, I really felt strongly this is the right step for me. But I sense that it's not that easy for people. I always
getting together with like-minded people who are also working on their dreams for the purpose of focusing your attention and learning to deal with attention, emotions, imagination, actions is valuable for anyone, even experts at this, beginners or experts. I mean, I still use these techniques. I've been teaching this for the last 20 years, and I'd like to attend the workshop because, you know, when I'm at home in my normal environment, I don't use these things that much because it's not the context. Just like we don't like to work out at home, we like to work out at the gym where everybody else is working out because there's an energy wave there of everybody else working out. And that's the way these seminars are. You don't really want to focus for hours and hours at home. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but if everybody else is doing it, then you want to do it. And in that sense, it's a must. When do you get to do that at home? When do you have the discipline to do that at home? You don't. You do have the discipline to do it if everybody is helping you doing it. If I'm standing there helping you do it, then you have assistance. And not everything has to come from your own energy. You have assisted energy from others. That is the purpose of live seminars, is it not?
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why I attend so many seminars. But because a few years ago, I thought, oh, there's too much people, there's too much energy. But now I purposely schedule seminars and events. I have 3 in the upcoming months because it gets me into the energy. I'm doing the work. I know I'm focusing on the transformation I want to make. And it's a great way to meet like-minded people. So that's a bonus.
That's right.
Okay, cool. I really want to thank you, Fred, for this webinar. If you want to join the workshop, it's from March 23rd till March 25th. The link is on my website, www.maartjekoper.nl, and it's under events. And then there you can read a little bit more about it. But yeah, just feel if this resonates for you. If I always ask myself the question, is this going to contribute to my life? Is this going to make me money? Is this going to be expensive for me? And then I just feel what the energy does. And if the energy expands, I know it's a yes. And then I don't think about it and I just sign up. I would love to hear what people got out of this webinar. Is that cool for you to close with, Fred? Are there any last words you want to share? Fred?
Yes, I'm reading the responses. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So please let me know the insight you gotten from the webinar. We would love to hear that. And people are already thanking us, so that's a great thing. Irma said it's gotten a lot of. I got a lot more clarity.
It's an honor to meet all of you out there. How many are there? Do you know?
110, but we got about 400 sign-ups, and most people wanted to watch the replay.
Oh, they'll watch the replay.
Yeah.
And they all appear to understand English. You did no translation.
No, but I already said it was in English, and your seminar is also in English. And English, it's really common in the Netherlands.
I know it's common, but I'm impressed.
Okay.
Everybody seems to.
Okay.
All right.
And that's easy because when I make the shift internationally, they just can follow me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've made that shift to international now?
I've made some steps. I've launched my online community, and I've been writing blogs. We've been translating a lot of stuff. So it's things are happening.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The rest of the world deserves you. There's a whole wide world out there.
Yeah,
good for you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again, Fred, for what's going on there? Okay, I don't know. Thank you again for this webinar, and I wish you a lovely day because it's morning where you live. I see it's still light outside. Oh. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You were muted. I don't know who's muted you, but what did you say? Can you repeat it?
He's muted me, huh? Okay. Well, thank you, Marty. It was excellent. Well done. Well hosted, really.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Seriously. Yeah, well hosted. I'll see you very soon, okay?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too, me too. Okay. It's going to be more people than I expected. I quit doing seminars in Europe for that reason, but this is much better now.
Yeah, there is some energy on it, right?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I also feel it. Okay, thank you, and thank you all for watching and for great questions and for your contribution. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.